Hello and welcome to Mighty Obstacle Studios Month in Review for July 2023. So let's get started then. Boy, that was easy. First things first, what's been going on primarily? Because for patrons, you may have noticed I didn't charge you this month. Well, long story short, I didn't feel I did a good job understanding what to do when making Swomo Chow 2. For instance, it's a fan game, so having a Patreon while making something copyrighted did not feel right. Plus, I barely worked on Draco Blood during that time, so I decided to not charge for this month. Though, I did for last month. It's to make up for that. I'll be a lot smarter about fan games in the future because I have a few I wanted to do. So regarding Draco Blood, what's really on the plate for it? Well, the biggest has to do with enemy AI. I finally made two enemy types that'll change how the game is built: strafing enemies and flying enemies. These two enemies are huge because now I can start making enemies with those setups, and how I can put them in test maps made for the game. I can see what's a good spot, or what's a place they should spawn, or what they can do to evolve into really wacky enemy types. But serving as a base for enemies for now means I can make much cooler levels, and I really can't wait to do that. Speaking of coding, I have great news there. I found a good way to give Draco Blood version control. So now if everything explodes, there's a really recent backup ready to go for coding. I haven't found something like this for art, however. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I saw something called GitHub large files, which maybe? I don't know too much about this. I only really know the stuff for coding, so any ideas can help. As well, there's brand new key art for the game. I try to do this every year since the game was worked on to show that I've been getting better at drawing. While last year's did have a few fancy effects, this year's has a much more grounded and pretty accurate looking interpretation of advertising of a 90s anime. I also love the personality of Ritza getting ready to toss an apple at Azalea, with Jude reacting appropriately and Gabe noticing but more confused. It's a really fun image. Along with it showing off one of the more important locations in Draco Blood, the Tower of Gran. I think the tower should have a 3D model at some point. Speaking of, that's probably what's the next thing coming up with Draco Blood. It's going to be 3D modeling. Like, without a doubt, it has to be that. Quests and all that can't be built if there isn't a place to do the damn quest. As I showed last time I talked about 3D modeling, it has been quite easy, so I can't wait to get to that. However, don't expect these to look super amazing. I'm going to try a new approach to this where it's absurdly bare bones. I've noticed I kept skipping over the phase of at least a shitty substitute before correcting it to look even better. So, in this time period, expect some landscapes and dungeon experimentation. I just really want to make as many 3D models as I can. That's the base of the game's entire level design, is that. So I'm really excited to work on it. So that's the end. Oh wait, one more thing. Her game is postponed. Now it's the end. I kept this a bit short because I was a tad behind after making the key art. But I really hope you enjoyed this update. Oh right, a recommendation. So I think let's not recommend a show for a Draco Blood recommendation. Let's talk about games. Simple as Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. This game is simply great. Every environment is a playground for combat, and it's a very fun game. It's also from 2006, so don't give me some weird excuse that your Chromebook can't play it or something. It's absolutely worth it. So please play it. It's the closest you're going to get to Draco Blood for now. With that, see you all next one.